Welcome to this introduction and tutorial for SS&R, Social Security and Retirement Financial Modeling from EIPI Innovations. What is SS&R? SS&R is a Windows app available naturally at the Windows App Store. Broadly speaking, SS&R is designed to take the particulars of a person's or couple's financial situation and based on specified values for inflation and return on investments, along with the basic rules of Social Security and the IRS, project their financial situation into and through their retirement years. By way of example, consider the summary plot associated with the Mary Lamb sample dataset in SS&R. This plot shows income, expenses, and total assets. The green and yellow lines, monthly income and expenses, are plotted against the left scale. The white and red line shows asset level over time and is plotted against the right scale. In this particular scenario, Mary is using the 90th percentile for life expectancy, with the implication she should plan for a retirement that lasts until she is 98 years old in 2064. If we take a look at the income line, appropriately colored green, it shows her $3,500 per month salary from the present out to 2027. She would be 62 then and is wondering if she could afford to retire and file for Social Security. Her monthly Social Security check would provide considerably less income than what she earns working. The initial monthly payment would be determined from her primary insurance amount, currently estimated at $1,500. That value would be increased by the assumed 2% cost of living adjustments, compounded over 11 years, and then decreased by roughly 30% for filing at age 62. Mary would wind up receiving about $1,300 per month. Next, focus on the yellow expense line with its upward trend and series of drops. The upward trend is, of course, due to the assumed 2% inflation. As for the drops, the first, in 2018, is from the payoff of a $300 per month loan. The biggest drop is in 2030 and reflects the end of her $1,000 per month mortgage. Lastly, the pair of drops around her retirement are due to the associated decreases in federal taxes. The final line, the asset line, displays as white when assets are positive and red when they go negative. Mary's assets, the sum of her retirement and non-retirement funds, start out at $90,000 and grow while she continues to work. However, after she retires and has to deal with a significant gap between her Social Security income and anticipated expenses, Mary consumes her assets to make ends meet. As a result, she runs out of money along about 2041, 23 years short of her anticipated lifespan. In a few minutes, we'll demo SS&R and see what Mary might do to improve her long-term financial prospects. SS&R's financial projections can help answer such retirement questions as, when can I retire? When should I retire? Should I take a lump sum or pension? When should I start collecting Social Security? How much can I afford to spend when I'm no longer working? In the case of Mary Lamb from the previous slide, it seems she would need to work beyond age 62 if she wants to maintain her current standard of living. In generating its financial projections, what particulars of a person's situation does SS&R comprehend? Those particulars consist of age, anticipated longevity, marriage situation, work status, retirement and non-retirement savings, expenses, pensions, and Social Security benefits. While such information is necessary if we are to project a person's financial situation into the future, it is not sufficient. Each person's particular situation gets played out within the context of the world in which they live. For most of us who do receive or will receive Social Security, that world in which we live is the United States. How we fare in retirement will then depend on the general state of the U.S. economy and, in particular, on cost of living changes and return on investments. Beyond the economic environment, it is also clear there can be no assessment of our retirement financial situation without comprehending the rules of both Social Security and the IRS. Enough introduction. Let's open SS&R and have a look. Clicking on the Windows logo button displays a listing of apps on my computer from which I can select Social Security and Retirement Financial Modeling. The splash screen is then displayed while SS&R is launched and startup data is loaded. In this case, that startup data is the Mary Lamb sample data previously discussed in detail. Overall, what we have in the SS&R window is input data on the left, sliders for setting Social Security ages in the middle, and a pair of plots on the right. The upper plot provides a summary of income, expenses, and assets. We won't go into them here, but by clicking on the buttons to the right of the lower plot, the user can display a breakdown of any one of the three curves from the upper plot, as well as a plot related to income and federal tax. Across the top of the window, we have a box displaying NPV, or net present value, of the Social Security benefit payments, and then three buttons for loading and saving data. At the far right, we have a help button that activates a flyout with some basic help information. The one thing I want to point out here is that a right mouse button click will make visible a bottom app bar. We'll make use of that in a little bit. Let's now take a look at the data from which the charts at the right are generated. At the top of the input area, we see the analysis start date is January of 2016. That simply means specified asset levels don't change until that point in time. Below the start date, we see the SS&R default values for cost of living and investment growth, 2% and 5% respectively. Working our way down, we come to the user-specific data. For Mary Lamb, we see she was born on the 4th of July, 1965. Gender is specified because of its influence on lifespan. Mary earns $3,500 per month and is considering the possibility of retiring in 2027 when she would be 62. She has no pension or annuities, so zeros are entered in the next two lines. Her Social Security primary insurance amount is $1,500. That is how much she would get per month if she waited to her full retirement age of 67 to collect benefits. Mary has $90,000 in financial assets, $10,000 in non-retirement savings, and $80,000 in one or more tax-deferred retirement accounts, such as an IRA or 401k. Mary has selected 90 for life expectancy percentile. What that means is that out of those people in the U.S. born in her birth year and still alive as of the analysis start date, Mary is expecting to outlive 90% of them. Based on Social Security's actuarial tables, that percentile implies she should live until December of 2063, when she would be 98.4 years old. Relative to expenses, Mary has a $1,000 per month mortgage that will be paid off in January 2030, and a $300 per month loan that she'll be done with in January of 2018. Outside of her loans, and not including federal tax, her monthly expenses are $1,700. Lastly, Mary is single. If she were married or divorced, inputs for a second person would also be visible. In the middle area of the screen, we have sliders for specifying ages related to Social Security benefit options. From left to right, the first is used to specify the age at which retirement and spousal benefits are begun. The second slider provides for the possibility of suspending benefits after full retirement age, and the third is for restarting previously suspended benefits. The fourth slider, which is not a concern for Mary, is used to specify the starting age for survivor benefits. As previously discussed, Mary's thought of retiring at 62 and filing for Social Security benefits at that time does not appear to be a viable option if she wants to maintain her current lifestyle. She would run out of money along about 2041. So what might she do to improve her financial prospects? Before we start modifying Mary's inputs, let's first take advantage of one of SS&R's options. If we do a right click, we see the lower app bar previously mentioned. From this bar, a number of things can be done, but what we are presently interested in is adding a reference asset line to the summary plot. That can be done by clicking on the Load and Display Asset Baseline button. That gives us a line that preserves the current asset line and gives us an easy way to compare alternative scenarios to a baseline condition. Mary can increase her monthly Social Security benefits by delaying her filing. In SS&R, a Social Security age is changed by either clicking and dragging the slider, clicking at a desired point along the slider, or clicking on the slider and then using the arrow keys. Unfortunately for Mary, delaying benefits just increases the rate at which she would burn through her assets. What she needs to do is work a little longer to both allow her assets to grow and to get a little bit closer to paying off her mortgage. If she delays retiring for 2 years, which we can do by changing 2027 to 2029, she'd then be able to delay taking Social Security until she was 68. By doing so, her monthly benefit approaches her expense line, and SS&R is no longer expecting her to run out of money during her retirement years. She wouldn't have a great deal of financial cushion, but at least this revised strategy gives Mary the possibility of preserving control over her financial situation. Based on the Mary Lamb sample data, the 4 plots which are displayed in the lower right corner of the SS&R window are presented here without comment. While you check those out, we'll do an audio wrap-up. Between the slides and the SS&R screen video, our hope is we have given you a good sense of what SS&R is designed to do, its purpose for being created, and what information the user must supply to enable its functioning. In developing SS&R, the desire was to provide useful long-term financial assessments while requiring as little as possible in terms of user inputs. Have those objectives been achieved? From the developer's biased viewpoint, the answer is, of course. However, when the developer's hat turns into that of the marketer, it is recognized that improvements are always possible. Towards that end, your feedback and improvement suggestions are most welcome. Either an email to paul@eipie.com or posting to our Facebook page will get our attention. And thank you for your attention. Have a good day.